One word in just the right place can change everything. This is the concept of Beacon Pines, a wonderful, narrated, alternate universe, branching paths, animal children in a small town, storybook, walking simulator video game in which the different branching paths are all intended to be viewed on your quest to save the town. Beacon Pines is deep, but on the surface resembles nothing more than a quick jaunt through a happy story with a problem and a solution, until you get a little further in and start to see the sinister creepiness of the town and its surroundings. Now, I, along with every other person that seems to have covered this game, think Beacon Pines is worth experiencing for yourself. So, I will use this video to convince you to do so. I won't be spoiling any of the major story beats here. I'll be saving that analysis for maybe another video after you've beaten the game as well. The story begins with Luca, a young deer, spending some time at his father's gravestone. We quickly learn that his mother has also recently disappeared and his grandmother moved into the family home to raise him in his parents' absence. Rollo, a young fox and Luca's best friend, knows of Luca's grief and tries to distract him with the summer vacation adventures every child dreams of. On the first day of summer vacation, Rollo tells Luca he saw glowing lights inside of the old abandoned factory on the edge of town, and the two decide they are going to go investigate. Beacon Pines is a third-person adventure told through a storybook. There's a beautifully voice-acted, omnipresent narrator guiding you through the fixed camera areas around the town of Beacon Pines. While on your adventures, you'll often find charms. These can be found in dialogue, for example, a character talks of tickling someone and boom, you've got a charm, or you can find them in the environment, like interacting with a crooked sign would give you the crooked charm. These are the main mechanic Beacon Pines uses to set itself apart from all the other narrative indie games out there, the hook of the game, so to say. These charms are the one word in just the right place I mentioned earlier. Every so often the story stops and you are to make a choice. The choice being which word or charm you've collected should be used in the storybook segment you've arrived at. The first choice the game gives you is how to tell your grandmother you plan to spend your first day of summer vacation. Your real plan is breaking into and exploring the abandoned factory with Rollo, but depending on the charms you've found, you can tell her you're going to chill, ponder, or hide. The game clarifies that this is the one charm choice that doesn't matter to get you used to things, but afterwards every charm you use will bring you down a different branching path. On screen now, you can see the tree from an earlier section of the game, the separate paths with the flowers being where different paths branched off. The coolest part of this mechanic is that you get to experience basically every path throughout your playthrough. In fact, you won't ever truly beat the game without doing so. I just want to take a quick second to ask you to subscribe to my channel if you like these videos and want to see more. In Beacon Pines, the different charms unlock different paths when they are used, and each charm has a specific place in the game. The only way to actually find all of them is by talking to everyone you see, interacting with every object to find the random ones containing a charm, and by experiencing different story events as you follow through the branching paths. At the start of the game, the charms seem kind of randomly placed because you're just picking them up through interactions with random objects or during a non-story related conversation. But as the game goes on, you'll realize that as you go through the branching paths, you're basically unlocking the next branching path or charm of the story by playing through the scenes that were unlocked by one of the last charms you picked, and so on and so forth. Sometimes you will pick up a charm very late in one timeline, only to find out that it changes one of the early situations in a completely different timeline by opening up a whole new path through an area you were pretty sure you were done with. So even though you get to pick which word you'd like to use in situations, you will be often coming back to try another path. The game becomes more linear than it originally seemed once you understand this. The game also technically contains multiple endings, but not in the way you'd think. Basically, any charm that leads to a death is counted as an ending to the story, and then you are invited to take another look at your tree and find a branching path you haven't gone on yet, with a different charm that will unlock an entirely new set of events. The game also clearly shows you what you've done so far and what you haven't, with little check marks everywhere. And from what I understand, that may not have been a feature when the game came out, but rest assured that as of the making of this video, there was no confusion about what you may or may not have already experienced throughout the timelines. There are also two smaller side mission areas that were pretty fun. These are fishing and serving tables at the local restaurant. The fishing minigame is pretty basic and serves more as a deeper look into the relationship between our two fishermen, but the serving tables is actually a quick fun little puzzle game. Basically, you're interpreting the customer's dinner order to correctly pick and serve the specific toppings they want on their burgers. Both of the side missions require you to find charms that are sometimes a bit off the beaten path. Once I finished the game, I was only missing 2 charms, so make sure to keep an eye out as you play. As you go further into the game and start piecing things together, you, the player, may sometimes have more knowledge than the player characters at the time, and will have to remember what they actually know or don't know on this specific timeline. I played through the game in about 2.5 hour sessions over 3 or so days, and when I jumped in the second session, I had a bit of a blank about some characters and their current knowledges. Thankfully, the narrator jumped in a couple times to make jokes and comments, so it's pretty much confirmed whether the characters knew what was up or not. Another not so amazing thing some people might not love is that the only voice character in Beacon Pines is the narrator. This leaves you the player reading all other dialogue, and there is a lot. I think actually having voices for the other characters would have taken away from the narrator and the whole storybook vibe of the game, so I'm glad they made that decision, but I can see this being an issue for some players. Honestly, the narrator is probably my favorite part of the whole game. The voice actress, Kirsten Mize, does an incredible job here, expertly portraying emotions only with her voice. The words on the page come to life through her voice acting, and I often found myself just listening to the performance even though I'd already read ahead in the dialogue. The narrator is essentially reading the book to you, which means she is with the player the entire time and witnesses the events with you through the numerous timelines. She'll comment on endings, bring up relevant information to remind you when Luca and Rollo aren't aware of something you learned in another timeline, and she'll even crack a joke every so often.
It wasn't until Sharper Valentine built his fertilizer company that Beacon Pines was established. Over the next 30 years, the town had grown and prospered.
It's another place where Beacon Pines sets itself apart from other games. Beacon Pines is extremely well written, with just the right amount of twist, mystery, and character development, all while keeping the player entertained and interested. It touches on some deep subjects and does them justice, all while portraying its own unique view on things, and adding just enough fantastical elements that things don't feel too real. I really enjoyed my time playing through Beacon Pines, and it's currently available on Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC, usually selling for about $20 USD. I think it's well worth the price of entry. I beat Beacon Pines once and played a little bit longer to finish up the last of the achievements I was missing. One was a missing charm, and the other one was using a fruit as an instrument. For my fellow achievement hunters, you will get most of the 10 achievements just by playing through the game once, and it's pretty easy to go back and find what you missed with a guide or by revealing the secret achievements once you finish the game. If you've gotten to this point in the video, you should subscribe to the channel and then go play Beacon Pines. You owe it to yourself. See you in the next one, and I hope you enjoyed the video.